Welcome back, guys. So, as you know, this is the final installment of the instrumental guide to jazz metal. The first two episodes didn't get a lot of traction, but I know there are a few dedicated watchers out there who can appreciate these episodes, so I'm making these for you. Just to refresh your memory, we're going over 30 albums. We've already gone over 21. I'm kind of trying to present what I think that instrumental jazz metal has to provide in a lot of different flavors. So the first episode was like more aggressive, dissonant type stuff. Second episode was getting a little more into like the Plini and modern things like that. And then today is going to be the most jazzy of them all. However, I have some on here that are crazy. Like, I think this might be the weirdest episode yet, because there's just some weird stuff in here, but also just some like regular jazz, and that's it. Let's get started. I have the candle still going from last time. Yes, I record these episodes all in a row, save myself on time. I have a real job, okay? I work. And yes, I'm still drinking the battery acid Four Loko while I'm doing it. So hopefully I'll finish off the can, and who knows what I'll say by the end of the video. All right, so let's start out with Lingua Franca by TRAM. Just call them TRAM. I think that's... You guys might have heard of this. It's a combination of members from Animals as Leaders, the Mars Volta, and Suicidal Tendencies. So like, just kind of absorb that for a second. And it doesn't sound like it should be good, but it's actually really good. So this was a one-time project. It has some avant-garde elements in it in terms of composition, but it's a really fascinating listen that will keep you hooked from the get-go. So another one that is just a classic that you probably all know is Tigran Hamasyan. So this album is called The Call Within. What you'll find is that Tigran has influenced a ton of bands that have already been in this series and plenty that have not. I even remember Misha from Periphery saying that Tigran was like a big influence for him. So who knows how far this guy's influence goes, but let's just say it's out there. He has brought something to jazz that is really hard to pinpoint. It's this intensity that you find in metal, but somehow he brings it into the jazz world, and then he kind of twists it a little bit with the freeform sensibilities of jazz, and it creates a very beautiful combination. Next up, Sons of Creation by Cameron Graves. So Cameron Graves has a really interesting style. It's very rhythmically powerful. He almost creates chugs, but like on the keyboard, and it makes you want to headbang to everything. His aesthetic leans more towards like space and the universe, that kind of stuff. Sort of reminds me of the old school prog rock guys who are really into all that kind of stuff. Next is the Discordian Trio by the Discordian Trio. This is actually a band that I stumbled on a long time ago on Bandcamp in my nightly searches for weird bands, because that's what everyone does, right? It's hard to believe that this came out 12 years ago. I'm definitely getting old, but either way, I found that this band is great for studying and relaxing, but it's not too relaxing that you'll fall asleep. Trust me, they have some moments. They're not afraid to get weird and experiment, and you can tell a lot of it is improvised, which makes it really cool. It's like a very one-time special thing. That's what's cool about improvisation in general, I'd say. So this one is called The Sun Would Disappear as I Imagined All the Stars by Asymmetric Universe. So here's another lesser known band, a lot more synthesizer and guitar driven band, but they're not afraid to get fast paced and extremely groovy. Every instrument is just going full blast at every opportunity. There's never a dull moment. They're a little bit newer than some of the other bands here, but I'm hoping they have a bright future ahead of them. Next is Heavy Meddlers by Father Figure. This was another Bandcamp find. So their last album was 8 years ago, so I don't think they're still active, but they are genuinely a blast to listen to. They're extremely melodic. Nothing becomes grating or annoying or pretentious. It's just good fun with a group of people who have mastered their craft. Their newer stuff is a lot more experimental, I'd say. It's bordering on kind of trippy, more stoner type stuff. So if you're more into that, then I would go that direction. And then next is The Flowers of Romance by Mouse on the Keys. You guys probably know Mouse on the Keys. If not, you need to. Whenever it comes to like piano-driven music in general, Mouse on the Keys is the first thing that comes to my mind. They're hailing from Tokyo. They have lately kind of delved more into electronic and synthesizer type stuff, but honestly, I'll just never stop listening to their old stuff because it was just so creative what they could do with all the pianos going all the time, and then there's the drum player just cooking the whole time. Anguinus by Ron Manise Trio. The man with the blue beard. Ron is someone who came from a punk and noise background, so his take on jazz is extremely unique and will constantly surprise you. Any instrument is up for grabs here. You'll hear every type of synth, every type of guitar, choir, upright bass, whatever you can imagine will be reaching your ears at some point or another. And then we get weird with Eons by Neptunian Maximalism. So this is one of the craziest albums. I don't fully understand it. Nothing really makes sense, but I can't stop listening to it. Even though I never dare to describe this as metal, the intensity involved here is just something that you just never hear from anywhere else. It's extremely heavy, it's powerful, it's percussive. There are these constant droning horns and wind instruments layered over these drums that are pounding through your head and clanking and snapping and every other percussive thing that you can think of. That's what's going on. And then the last one is Glimpse by Kenta Shimakawa. So this pick is partly cheating because it's not entirely instrumental, but the vocals are sort of used as an instrument, so there aren't any lyrics at all. That's how I'm justifying this to myself. I think this is a good one to end on because he's really good at creating this mystical tone to his music throughout, and it really feels like you're being transported to a scene in a movie with how epic and magical everything sounds. I don't know how to explain that without sounding like a fool, so just go listen to it. And that is the end of the instrumental jazz metal list. Like I said before, not a crazy amount of metal, there's plenty of jazz, but it all leans towards the heavier side of jazz, and I think that's what makes it interesting to metalheads like me. Musical genres sort of reach out and their roots and branches touch at some point or another, and I think that's when you can really get cool crossover between your audiences, and some people will convert to new things. I think metal has even more roots and ties to things like classical and jazz than it does to rock, and I'm not joking. Once you start really paying attention to it, it'll really make sense to you. Anyways, that's enough of me for now. I hope you liked the series, and let me know if I missed anything, and I will see you next time.